Hello, amazing mothers, and welcome back to Motherhood and Me. Why infertility is such a silent struggle that women go through. Um, so it's silent and loud at the same time, right? It's silent in the sense that you're going through it, and the way you react to it is individual, and it's something that you really deal with in your closet, in your room with your pillow. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's loud because the lack of a child in a home is extremely loud.
Obvious, yeah.
And it really shouldn't be silent. I think you need to speak up when you need help. And a lot of the times, couples, not just women, couples delay in finding out what the problem is. So they'll just say, okay, let's just wait a little bit, let's wait a little bit, let's wait a little bit. And it just, the pressure just keeps mounting and mounting and mounting and mounting. And you end up, a lot of the time, women and couples end up doing things that end up being detrimental and add to the issue.
Can spouses support each other during this period or this phase of their journey in their
Communication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, amazing mothers, and welcome back to Motherhood and Me. Motherhood and Me is a space where we have honest, vulnerable, and healing conversations about womanhood, motherhood, family, and the journeys many women walk silently. I'm your host, and today's episode is one that carries a lot of emotional tenderness and truth, because for many women, motherhood does not always happen as quickly as as society would expect. Behind the smiles, behind the "are fine," behind the family gatherings and repeated questions, there are women carrying silent pain, disappointment, confusions, and hope. So today we're talking about infertility, the waiting, the pressure, the emotional journey, and the healing that many women desperately need. To help us navigate this important conversation, I'm joined by the courageous and inspiring woman. Tell them your name.
Oh, my name is Dema Sekibo.
All right, and I'll be reading her profile today. Her profile is quite loaded. At the time I'm done, you understand why I said that. Dema is a senior clinical embryologist, fertility specialist, and healthcare executive with over 10 years of experience in reproductive medicine and assisted reproductive technology, IVF. She is the CEO and practice director of Orchid Fertility Clinic, Orchid, right? Where she leads the IVF laboratory team, combining scientific expertise with compassionate, patient-centered fertility center. She holds master's degree in clinical embryology from University of Leeds and prenatal genetics and fetal medicine from University College London.
Yeah.
College London.
Yeah.
Amazing. Throughout her career, she has worked extensively in IVF laboratory practice, fertility treatment, counseling, and reproductive health advocacy. Dema is passionate about making fertility conversations more transparent, informative, and accessible, particularly for African women and families navigating infertility and reproductive health challenges. She also contributes to national fertility data and reproductive health discussions through her work with Association for Fertility and Reproductive Health. Wow. So wholesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having
For
me.
taking out time from your busy schedule.
No,
It's
thank
obvious you have a lot going on, and you don't take it for granted. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for
So,
having me.
so let's dive into why we're here
Of course.
to discuss fertility and infertility. When we're having the discussion, I was telling you that it's quite personal to me because of, we waited like 5 years and all that. I like to say that because, it's to encourage mothers and to assure them that it can still happen.
Absolutely.
And nothing is wrong with you. What do you think why infertility is such a silent struggle that women go through?
So it's silent and loud at the same time, right? It's silent in the sense that you're going through it, and the way you react to it is individual, and it's something that you really deal with in your closet, in your room with your pillow. You know what I mean? But it's loud because the lack of a child in a home is extremely loud.
Obvious, yeah.
Especially when it's been a long wait. So it's silent and loud at the same time, right? And it really shouldn't be silent. I think you need to speak up when you need help. And a lot of the times, women delay in finding out, or couples, not just women, couples delay in finding out what the problem is. So they'll just say, okay, let's just wait a little bit, let's wait a little bit. And it just, the pressure just keeps mounting and mounting and mounting and mounting. And you end up, a lot of the time, women and couples end up doing things that end up being detrimental and add to the issue. Sometimes. Well, yeah, that's really what it is. I think.
What is it like taking herbal medicine? Because I didn't want to mention that. I didn't know when they came out. Well, because I was going to ask you, what do you think couples do to help themselves but end up being detrimental to their health?
So I wouldn't say herbal medicines and then kind of it's too much of a generalization, right? Okay. But one of the things that, I discourage if I can, if given the chance to, because infertility is such a private and personal thing as well, in terms of how people navigate, you need to be careful how you give advice, right? Because since you're not walking in their shoes, it's difficult for you to not say, oh, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. But if I'm given the space and I'm trusted enough to give any kind of advice, any herb that needs to go into any orifice of your body, being your vagina, it's typically almost always caustic. Right. So we have situations where women's cervix are closed up because of the effect of these herbs. Yes. So does it always happen? No. Right. But a lot of the times when we see, any kind of stenosis, any kind of closure, any kind of scarring in vagina, on the cervix, if you probe properly during consultation, you find that some kind of herb or some kind of medicine or concoction that was not prescribed by a doctor, wasn't indicated, has been used. And that's what I mean by causing more harm than good. Because we will not know if, is it the herb that caused this scarring? Is it something else? But as soon as the herb is there, because it is not something that we can look at the ingredients and probe and see, it's difficult to ascertain the effect, right? In terms of drinking herbs, sometimes it's what's the word I'm looking for? It is a placebo effect, right? You know what I mean? You take the herb, you feel like it's working, and therefore it works. Is it that the herb worked? Is it that it's a placebo? We don't know, right? But if there are no studies that say, okay, if you take this herb, mixing this, and this, taking it twice a day, a large number of people have taken it and we have seen that it has a positive effect. I mean, as a clinical professional, I can't recommend anything like that.
Okay.
Right? I can't.
You can't.
Right. But when I say it causes more harm than good, it's in those situations. And there's sometimes some people are a bit exploitative because of how sensitive, this group of women or people, couples are, right? You can run into people that are very exploitative. So they'll give you medication that will mimic pregnancy.
Wow.
Yes. Yes, it does.
So you're not actually pregnant, but you feel like you're pregnant.
And they'll tell you, don't go and do a scan. If you do a scan, they won't see anything. But don't worry, you are pregnant.
Yeah. So after 9 months, what happens?
No, the scan doesn't really last that long because you go and do a scan. Women that are couples that are trying to get pregnant, they will go and do that scan. After a while, they'll find out that there's
and get disappointed.
Wow. But at that time, they have collected a good amount of money. It's such an emotional thing that even on the clinical side of things, when we see couples like that, or women like that, trying to even convince them that, look, madam, we're not pregnant. She'll say it's not true. I've taken a pregnancy test. It says positive. She'll say it's not positive. It is positive. But in the uterus, you're supposed to be, according to what you've said, you're supposed to be at least 3 months, 12 weeks gone. At 12 weeks gone, you will definitely be seeing something on the scan. You go and look on the scan, there's nothing.
There's nothing. Wow. That would have been devastating.
Extremely. Extremely.
I want to probe more into this because I feel like there are mothers or women doing this and they need to be told what to do. Like so after that moment, I mean, is their tummy growing? Are they getting the whole morning sickness thing and all that?
Some people, so depending on what these practitioners have given them, I don't do it, so I don't know what they give them, right? But truly, when you take a pregnancy test with urine, it will show up. So there's probably some kind of hormone. Maybe they're giving them something called HCG. So in IVF, right, we give that hormone to trigger, right, trigger you to ovulate. Right? Either if we give it to you when you're doing an IUI or an ovulation induction, and then also in IVF, we give it to the woman. It's an injection. She will ovulate, right? But we also tell women that you take a pregnancy test today to show up as positive because HCG is the hormone that pregnancy test tests for. You see what I'm saying? So, and we tell you, do not, once you've taken HCG, you need to wait it out because it will still be in your system. Right, 10, 12 days later, about 10 days later, it will still be your system. By 10 days, it should start going out, right? So you find in some of these cases where they're saying, oh, we're giving you injections to maintain the pregnancy. What they're actually giving is HCG.
Wow, so unfortunate.
It's very sad, very exploitative.
Yeah, that's so mean. Like you can see that the woman is already emotionally, and then you're adding to it. That's so unfair. How do you think this infertility thing affects a woman emotionally, physically, or spiritually? How do you think it affects them?
Okay, so I'll speak from my own experience. I think every woman is different, right? How they handle it, the kind of help that they get, if they get help at all, and where they get the help from is all different. So from my personal experience, I was very lucky to get pregnant very quickly with my first daughter within the first 4 or 5 months. I got pregnant, smooth, easy pregnancy. Although I had fibroids before I got married, I had them removed. And then obviously got pregnant. Fantastic, had to have a cesarean section. And during the section or after the section, during the healing, I apparently developed adhesions. Yes, and one of the adhesions actually impinged on one of my fallopian tubes. Right, so I didn't actually know. So after when you're planning, you plan. I say, okay, after 2 years, I want another baby. If you see my pre-wedding video, I literally told I was speaking on the camera with so much gusto that I expect you to impregnate me at least 3 times in 5 years. And then I'm done. My husband was laughing. It was funny. So according to the plan that we have put down, we said, okay, at the 18-month mark, we're going to start trying for the next baby. We actually started trying. Nothing. Kept on trying, nothing. Now, it's my field of expertise, what I do on a daily basis. I said, okay, all right, let me start doing 1 or 2 tests. So initially, I just said, maybe I need to augment things. I'm getting a bit older than I was. Let me just augment things. So I just did an ovulation induction. I know I ovulated because, and still nothing.
Wow.
Okay. So I had to go on and did further testing, and I found out that actually one of my tubes was occluded, right, and that was due to adhesions from the previous abdominal surgeries
because of the CS thing.
Yes, so not just the CS. So I wouldn't really put it on the CS. It's probably the myomectomy and the CS. So it's any kind of abdominal surgery, and because I had it, not a year later, I had my baby not up to a year after. Or I got pregnant not up to a year after I had done my myomectomy. So all of that increases slightly the chance of you having adhesions. So however many abdominal surgeries you have, you're likely to have adhesions. So the more you have, the more increase the likelihood of you having adhesions, right? So it's nothing that I did, nothing my doctors did. It's just what the body decided to
do
at that point in time, right? So once that was now established, okay, now we know that something is going on. So my chances of getting pregnant every month is basically half because, one, I can't determine, or you can't really determine which ovary you ovulate from.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for me, my most active ovary, which was the left, is the tube was occluded exactly. So every time, although you can say your tube moves, the tube can move either way.
Does it
catch? Yeah, it's not static, so it can catch the egg from either way. Right. That's why if you only have one tube, instead of fine, you can still get pregnant. It might take a little bit longer, but you still get pregnant. Now, in my case, the adhesions were everywhere. So even that the tube that was open, it wasn't free to do what it needs to do.
Wow.
Right? So, that being the case, me understanding how it is, it did not, or understand the science or the medicine of it or the clinical aspects, it didn't stop the emotional side. It didn't stop the disappointments every month when you see your period and you cry. Right? When you do a test and it's negative and you're so sure that you're pregnant, and you're not pregnant, right? So for me, how did I navigate it? A lot of support. I had familial support from both sides, my husband's side, my side.
That's so lovely.
I had support in terms of my faith. I really leaned into it that time. And it was a very transformative time for me in terms of my faith. When you go through things, that's when you know where you stand.
You see, you would think that is when you started trying the first time and you delayed that you go through this whole thing. Secondly, fertility actually
is actually none of it is worse, right? But it is also just as loud because you get comments like,
when are we getting?
What are you fools doing now?
When are we having our
boy? Thank you.
Because
I had a daughter, you understand? Yeah, when are we having our boy? What's going on? What are people doing? Year 2, year 3. Yep, you understand, And then unfortunately, what then happened was at year 3, I got pregnant spontaneously. No anything, just got pregnant. But then at 6 months, we lost him, and it was a horrible, terrible experience. And so imagine having to wait all this time, nothing, radio silence, nothing. Then you get pregnant, and you're excited, and then this now happens.
And the system was already showing that all that
heavily showing because the baby was big. So at the time because I had to give birth to him, so at the time that I gave birth to him, he was about almost 2 kg, 1.5.
I give you a hug.
Oh, no, it's fine. I'm okay. I'm fine now.
I can relate because before I had one, I also had miscarriages.
Yeah.
I think we kind of thinking from one the other.
Yeah.
It's such an emotional thing.
Yeah.
So in your years of practice, have you seen this infertility thing affect, couples, affect their marriage, their relationships and all that?
Yeah, it's one of the things that definitely does happen in practice and in personal. So one of the first places that you kind of see that slight, not crack, but you see the strain is in their sex life, right? It stops being about a communion and enjoyment and having a good time. It's now about we're timing and we're scheduling. And so a lot of the time you see both of them, the woman will not necessarily voice this because that's not where her focus is initially. Her focus is more on let's do this thing and get it done. But especially on the male partner's point of view, it almost stops being a good time. It's now something that's scheduled. It's now a duty. Thank you. So if not managed properly, that can create a real strain in the relationship because the sex part of relationship is a big deal. It's part of what binds a couple together. So if that part is being strained, so that is not happening, but it's happening on a schedule, it's happening under pressure.
Pressure, yeah.
So you have that. So that's one of the first places you see some kind of strain, and you hear complaints from both parties, right? So the woman will say, "Oh, I don't know why he's not wanting to," or they around the time that you're dating, you start fighting.
Tell me about it.
You know what I mean? They will just start fighting.
And I keep wondering
Why are we fighting right now?
Is it a military?
So you start to pray against the fight, you know.
Yeah.
But it's a thing of communication, right? Both partners need to feel heard, and sometimes it's very difficult to hear, not just to hear to listen and absorb what the other partner is saying, your husband or your wife is saying in that moment, because it's such a heavily emotional time that it can be difficult to really extend that hand and put aside your own feeling in that moment and literally just hear what your husband or your wife is saying, right? So that's kind of first place you see the straight, and then communication.
I was going to ask how a spouse can support. No, the question was going to be, how can a husband support their wife during this period? But then you also know that, even the society is asking the guy, how far? So how can spouses support each other during this period or this phase of their journey?
Communication.
Yeah.
It's heavy on communication. You can't assume that you know what your spouse is feeling, or they should know. No one is a mind reader, especially in this situation, right? You need to be able to open your mouth and say, look, I feel this way, not you are doing this, or you are doing this to me. I feel, because whatever issue it is, it's as a couple, it's the both of you against the thing. It's not this one versus this one.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So in that situation, you're supposed to be combating it together. And there will always be conflict. You can't run away from it, right? Especially when the woman's on injections, for example, it heightens your emotions.
Hormones and all.
Yes, those hormones are not great. They heighten your emotions. You might be feeling discomfort from the injection side, having to go and lie down, and they put a probe every 2 days or every 5 days to check the development of the follicles. All of that can be traumatic for the woman, right? So the husband needs to look out for one inside. You know your partner, you know your wife, right? So support in listening, in asking, are you okay? If your wife someone that talks too much, you also know the woman you married. So at that point in time, you do things that she would like. If try and take her out of the situation, maybe plan something around that day. So today is a scan day, so she needs to go and do a transvaginal scan. She doesn't do well. She hates it so much. It's uncomfortable for her. People that have, adenomyosis, they have endometriosis, they have any kind of adhesion, it's quite painful for them, right? When we're doing the scan, it can be very, very uncomfortable, right? Maybe not painful, but uncomfortable. So the tension of going to go and do it is on her. Plan something. That after her scan, you're taking her to lunch somewhere. Right? You get that. It doesn't necessarily have to be expensive, just that something that you normally do. Okay, let's go and this year. Let's go and drink Chapman or cocktails, not alcohol, mocktails. Let's go and do mocktails and sit somewhere, or go and watch a movie. Anything that that both of you do that binds people together, do it to support. And most importantly, if you can, be present at the appointments, right? Be present at hospital visits, because it makes her feel less alone, right? And also, you also have a firm understanding what is happening. Right? So those are the small tips, at least even the ones that my husband did.
As I say this, I'm just remembering the journey for me as well. Like, it was so important that your spouse was there. And is there for you. Even after getting pregnant, he has to be there. Like, intentionally be there. And I think that you've actually answered my next questions, because I was going to ask what would you advise couples going through this infertility journey on? How would you advise them, all right, to stay connected emotionally and all that during this infertility phase they are navigating together? Just highlight one or two things to.
Okay, so depending on your faith, do your faith together. So pray together, agree, right, together. Whatever that is, either you're saying your duas, you're fasting, you're praying, whatever it is that you are doing, you do it together, because that fosters, in this as a team, right?
It's us against the world.
Exactly. And it's, Beyonce and Jay-Z, I don't care if we're on the run. All that, Beyonce, Bonnie and Clyde, this is the time to do it, Support each other, communicate. Carry each other along. There should be no area of, okay, this is what she might be thinking, this is what he might be thinking. Dispel all of that. Talk. Do your prayers and whatever together. Talk a lot and do things that you enjoy together. Right? So be it going out, be it taking a vacation, whatever it is that you need to do. That when people were dating, you people love to do that together. You understand? Some people when they're dating is cinema. They have a cinema date that they go to. Popcorn, thank you, and maybe hot dog. Your sets, and people gist. If you like going on walks, take your walks together. Anything that fosters your relationship together. Because when this child comes, and we pray the child. When the child comes, that child now becomes something you're putting your focus on. So even in your waiting, try and enjoy the fact that it's just the two of you.
Because when they come, it's a whole new ball game.
It's a whole new ball game. So those dates that you were dating, it will reduce. Exactly. So
you will remember me.
Thank you. By the time you have not slept, which one
is date?
So
and then the economy part of it.
Yes, exactly.
How much is milk?
By the time you buy after milk for 35,000 Yeah.
Oh my God! But it's such a, I would say, fun journey. It's something that you look back and laugh over because you overcame something.
Absolutely.
And you came out victorious.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna ask that, in African society, oh my God, women face so much pressure.
Yeah.
For some reason they leave the man on. And I know this, that most times it's the man's fault, but it's the woman they put so much pressure on. How can you advise this woman or women, on how to protect their mental health, protect their emotions so that it doesn't affect them directly, but, let them be able to build themselves in that season?
Okay. So a lot of the time, so in terms of what causes infertility, it can be either or both. And in terms of percentages, it's about equal. It's almost 50%. So 40, maybe 42, and then unexplained at about 8%, right? In terms of what is the cause of the issue.
In times you couldn't explain what the problem is. Wow.
So when we say it's unexplained, clinically, it means that we have exhausted all our testing options and we have not been able to identify all the science present or the clinical capability, right, hasn't been able to identify the issue. Right? Doesn't mean that there's no issue. There's probably something. Maybe typically when we get to that point, sometimes it's genetic, right? And we need to, but to kind of find that out is a lot more expensive than the more traditional investigations, right? So what should the woman do in that situation? I think, for lack of better, will get busy. Right? Get busy in the sense of, at least this is now talking from what helped me, right? I threw myself into projects while also trying to maintain myself holistically. So taking care of myself, taking my supplements. I was on folic acid, B12, and pregnant care. Taking your supplements, trying to be healthy. I think I lost a bunch of weight. I was on purpose because I just wanted to optimize myself. Like before I look at anywhere else, I just optimized myself. I lost weight, I was eating healthier, all of that stuff. And then most importantly, I was doing something that I loved, which is working and helping other women and throwing myself into things that made me happy, right?
It forgets.
Yeah. So it's a lovely distraction. So if you can channel your energy into something else that is productive, right, and that you actually love, you will see that even in all the sadness and the I'm looking for the right word, but in the whole situation, right, you'll still be able to find some kind of joy.
Joy, because you're winning in one part, although this is taking over, at least that will give you joy in the meantime. How did you hold on to faith during the period of waiting? Because I think secondary infertility is more emotional draining, because you know that
Normal now.
I should be
What's going on here? Really? What are we doing here? So how did I hold on to it? Hey, I had highs and lows, I'm going to be honest. There were some times that my faith was so strong, I was so shocked, and then something would happen and it would shake it, and I'll probably be down in terms of my faith for like 2 months, Like, for example, even when I got pregnant with my second child, who's a girl, and my daughter, I didn't allow myself to be happy.
Really?
I didn't.
No.
Because of what had happened with my son, I couldn't allow myself to be hopeful. Even when I passed the 6-month mark where I lost him, at that point in time, I remember I called my sister on the phone and I was like, oh, he said, the baby is fine though. It's like everything is fine. I started crying because I couldn't understand. That was the first, okay, this is something that can be happening, and I'm actually going to have this baby. Then I quickly packed it and put it under my arm. I said, no, let's calm down. Let's not get too excited, And then the next time I really, accepted when I held her. That was the thing. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, I have a baby. So this is actually, the journey has actually led to this baby. So in terms of faith, I think you shouldn't be hard on yourself, right? It's perfectly normal to cycle all through the journey. There are sometimes your faith is unshakable. You will, for example, again, I'm speaking from my own point of view. You go to an Hallelujah challenge, you dance that your miracle. You understand? You act that's your miracle. You roll on the floor. By the end of Hallelujah challenge, you are feeling edified. And then the next month you say negative pregnancy test. Then you now start saying, okay.
I'm just laughing because I know.
You now say, okay.
I can relate.
So at that point in time, you now say, okay, it's not about this. You now need to dig deep. What is the basis of your faith, right? And that's where it took me to, ultimately. It stopped being about, oh, do this, you get this, do this. It stopped being transactional between me and God, right? It now came to a place of complete surrender. I said, you know what? Regardless of what happens, I'm not leaving this state. I might go up, I might fall down. You can fall down 7 times. The main thing is that you stand up. Right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the place that I got to in my faith. So yeah.
I can completely relate to what you're saying, because obviously I went through that. What does healing mean to you even during that waiting period?
I think healing is continuous. I think healing
is intentional about it.
Yes. You must be intentional.
Feel exhausted.
Absolutely. Right? It's and even when you're intentional, you have to continuously be intentional.
Yes.
Like, your healing is your emotional health. It's a bit like saying you want to maintain your weight. If you have lost weight, you were quite big and then you now lost weight, you need to maintain that weight, right? So because you've now lost 20 kg, you are looking good, you're happy with it, you can't now start eating shawarma every 2 days. You understand what I'm saying? It's the same thing for your healing and your emotional health, right? You need to maintain it. You need to protect your peace, right? Make sure that you're not allowing negative influences, negative comments, negative mindsets, pull down all strongholds and arguments, all of that. You need to make sure you're doing it intentionally. In the waiting, intentionally when you've had the baby, because that's the thing about infertility, that primary or secondary. Once you've had that baby, you don't stop being a subfertile woman.
Yeah, true.
You don't stop. You understand?
True.
You're still dealing with it even after you've had the baby. right? If it's endometriosis that caused issue, then endometriosis doesn't go away because you've had a baby now. You're still dealing with the pelvic pain, the bloating, all of that. It's actually the same thing, right? It's only in, one or two of the, causes that you will not be having any effects. I'm talking about in terms of your biology that you're dealing with, right? But typically you're still dealing with it. Even if you're not dealing with it physically, you're dealing with it emotionally. The things that people said to you while you were in the midst of that waiting.
Yeah.
When you see that person and you're carrying your child, you have to remind yourself that actually everything is okay.
It just took time.
It just took some time and everything is okay. I need to learn to kind of forgive, let go, because holding on to things like that is not, you're not allowing yourself to experience the job situation that you're in. And even if you're still waiting, holding on to those comments is bringing negative
to your space. And those voices sound when you're about to sleep, when you're quiet, alone on the pillow, about to be like, sometimes tears will drop, you wipe it.
And sometimes the comments, the person that said it didn't even know,
and didn't mean any harm.
They didn't mean any harm. They didn't mean any harm. But in your moments, your quiet moments, you say, so this is what the person can say to me. But you need to let those things go. You must. And that's the only way you can heal, right? A continuous process, an intentional process. So whatever that means to you. So different people heal in different ways. Some people will need to go to therapy, right, to talk through things, because there's place for that.
There's place for that.
And that's one thing that at least, where we work, where I work, we have counseling. And it's really interesting because not a lot of people take it up. And it is included as part of what you're supposed to do. Yes. But not a lot of couples, not a lot of people take it up because they feel, I'm fine, I don't need this counseling. Let's just do this clinical thing and move on. But having someone that is not in your family,
it's all neutral,
to have that conversation with. Sometimes you find situations or things come out that you realize that you need to deal with. And as you deal with them, you heal. Stress is reduced, cortisol comes down, and sometimes that is the small tweak that's needed for you to have your baby.
Because emotional stress also contributes to infertility.
It does. Emotional stress contributes to infertility.
Talking about this infertility, do you think the African women carried too much on their head? I say this because I traveled to Germany one time 2 years ago for a project. So I was supposed to do this project with a lot of white people from different European countries. So this lady was next to me. She's married, I think for 6 years or thereabouts. So we're talking about kids. She was like, I've been married for how many years? No kids. I will never even have kids, so it's fine for me. I don't even really care. I'm like, you don't care. Like, it's not bothering you. It didn't bother her. Do you understand? Do you think that we carry too much on our head when we don't have kids? I feel like even in the Western world, you can see two people, marriages, they don't want to have kids in their marriage, and they are fine with it. But in African context, if there's no child, there's almost as if there's no marriage in it.
So you're hitting the nail on the head already. It's our culture.
It's our culture, right?
It's our culture, right? We want to see fruit of labor, right?
And that's our definition of fruit of labor.
Right? So as a community, as a continent, as a nation, as a tribe, whatever it is, right? In whatever kind of, angle you look at it from, people expect that as you get married, we expect to see the fruit, right? So it's now the couple that will now say, no, we don't want to have children. Even as you say that, I can bet you, the girls, both sides. So in-law to the man, in-law to the woman. So the whole family, right, will have something to say about that. And that's just because of our culture. So when you see the men carrying it on their head, is it because, we just carry it on our head? It's our conditioning. From when you are small, you carry baby and put on your back and tie the baby. And you are your dog baby and you are moving around. You see your mommy, so you too, you are doing, you know what I mean? All of that is social, whatever, just what I'm looking for. basically they're culturing you to be that way. So it's very, very difficult for you to now say, okay, I'm going to be different from them. A lot of women are doing it now, especially this younger generation, and I love it for them. That's what they want
for them. These Gen Z people, oh, they don't even want to get married.
I love it for them. If that's what they want to do, grand. You know what I mean?
There's a post I saw on social media. I can't even imagine myself, carrying another human being in my mind, in my body. I'll disfigure my shape. That, like, girl, if your mom is not pregnant, would you be existing?
But you know what? There are also some in at least in terms of in our generation, their mothers, they were not very nice mothers. They didn't seem like they cared.
They cared, yeah.
How do you know that those men didn't actually want to have children? But because of societal pressure, they had no choice but to have children. Whether you like it or not, okay, the child is here now, but I didn't really want this. I'm not really attached to this child. You see what I'm saying? So that's also something that can happen. So isn't it better for you to know within yourself you don't want than for you to bring a child and then that child not be subject to emotional and physical abuse?
Causing harm to the society.
Exactly.
Because that's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
These things have, I feel like women tie motherhood to their identity.
Absolutely.
How can they separate the two, especially when it's taking time for them to, enter into that motherhood per se? And it's kind of, how do they separate their self-worth, from fertility or being a mom?
I think it's easier said than done, if I'm going to be honest. Yeah. I think ideally, or in an idealistic world, you say, okay, you're supposed to focus on your career, focus on making an impact in the world, because being a mother is just one of the ways that you're contributing to society.
Yeah.
Right? It's not the only way you contribute to society. It's one of the many ways you can contribute, right? So focus on making an impact. Do something that you love. Do something that brings you joy. You are not just, even the women that do become mothers, you're not just a mother, right? You are someone's sister, you're someone's child, you're someone's friend, you're someone's mentor, auntie, uncle, auntie, not an uncle, auntie, right? Niece. You're so many things to so many people, right? So if this particular label, mother, hasn't quite come along, you can focus on being the other things. Now, is it easy? No.
It's not.
Especially when you want a child.
It's not coming.
And it's not forthcoming. So in that situation, for that, do everything you can to find out what is going on. I think that's one of the things that I personally am passionate about, knowing what is going on. Premaritally, and even when you get married. So premaritally, that is, personally, I advocate for you knowing as a woman what is going on in your body. You're doing your investigations, do your tests by yourself. So you know, okay, this is what I have. Everything should be fine. So if I don't get pregnant in the first year, and that's what I'm planning to do, 1 year where, we're having sex regularly in that whole year and nothing is happening, right? Then, but I know from having done my own because I've taken my reproductive, the power for my reproductive health into my own hands, and I've gotten the information. I know that I don't have any issues, any pathophysiology. I don't have any kind of subfertility, right, that will hinder the process. Yeah. Since I know that, and it's not taking about a year. Okay, I now know. Okay. Sir, babe,
what do we need to do? Maybe it's you. Let's check in.
No. I just say maybe it's you. But it's a good idea that we go and let's go and check together. You know what I mean? And another,
nice.
I'm trying to be diplomatic. But yeah, and then when you do get married, if you wait 2 years, nothing, depending on your age. So if you're less than 35, a year, actively trying, go and try and find out what's going on. If you're above 35, 6 months, please. 6 months. After 6 months, we're actively trying, nothing is happening. Let's go and find out what's going on. It might be something very small. It might be IVF. You might need IVF. You might need ICSI. But at least know what you're doing, right? And the whole point of what I advocate for is plan. as a woman, you need to know what is going on with your reproductive health so you can plan. There's nothing new under the sun.
And so that you can know the solution for it.
Thank you.
You can't be having headache and be taking injection for your leg and all, so that you know and hit the nail on the head.
Exactly.
Get me.
So that's basically it. So, and also because some of these treatments are not cheap.
They're not cheap.
So if you know this is something you need, if you did a premarital testing, for example, as a woman by yourself, not necessarily with your spouse, if you don't want to have that conversation with them yet, you kind of want to do it alone, you already know, okay, because of XYZ, for me to have a child, I know that I need to have roughly this amount of money saved somewhere. You know, then you can have an open conversation with your husband to be, people will know what they're going to do.
It's very dicey.
Extremely! Extremely!
It's very dicey.
No, it's extremely dicey, but at the end of the day, wouldn't you, if he had an issue, wouldn't you want to know?
Nothing can turn on you, because first of all, you don't want to get into marriage thinking, oh my God, I might never have kids, or it might take long for me to have kids for this guy. I know it's there in your mind. You don't want to get into marriage having that, because that alone will block a lot of things for you.
Well,
And then there's some, I'm Igbo, right? There are times when before you get married, they want you to be pregnant. So that they will know that, there's no issue down there.
so what's the difference now?
The difference is that you can tell your spouse or your spouse to be that, look, there's problem here. You now say, okay, I'm no more doing kind of thing.
Well, then that's
so
not
it can
your
turn on
husband.
you.
That's not your husband now. That's my genuine belief. It's not your husband. It's not.
It's very dicey. And it's very emotional. Like,
no, I agree.
Sensitive.
No, I completely agree. I think because I say this, and I know I speak from a place of privilege when I'm saying it. I know that one. I know for a fact. I say from a place of privilege because I was extremely open with my own husband. When I had the fibroid surgery, I had fibroid surgery in May and myomectomy, and I got married in November. Yeah, and he was there.
He was there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he told his family, everybody knew. Yes.
People are different too.
Everybody knew.
People are different. Where's your other from?
He's Igbo. From Anambra.
Anambra.
Yes. Yes.
Ichie Anambra.
Yes. And he was like, okay, cool.
That's your
No, but we know. Do you understand? We know. No, but he was like, the unspoken truth. And he was like, yeah, no, okay, cool. But then at the end of the day, that created a mindset for both of us. So when we got pregnant so quickly, if you see jubilation, we're like, wow, look at that. We're so excited. Like, okay, this happened so quickly, So yeah.
Wow.
But there was already a prep of mind that look, if this takes a long time, this is what we're gonna do. And we had steps, we had plans. This is what we're gonna do. If it takes a long time, we're doing this. We had like timelines for ourselves.
That's such a beautiful thing.
Exactly. So when you have that openness, also, like I said, in terms of navigating infertility or subfertility as a couple, you can't navigate it alone. So if you can't be, as a woman, you are the one that is doing all the things, and the man is just looking at you. And it can't the other way around. It can't be the man that is there and you are the man. It's a together thing. So when you plan it together, in my own opinion, it works because you're a team. As a team, you make a decision. As a team, you're on board for it. It's all. As a team, you're supporting each other. It's better. It's better when the two of you can agree, right? So that is personally why. Again, and I know I speak from a place of privilege in that because he's just very understanding, and my in-laws are just as understanding. Yeah. But there are situations where. We know.
Yeah, we know. Let's just leave it at that.
Yes.
So that there are situations where a man doesn't want to do any form of test or find out what the issue is. How do you think a woman can manage or navigate that period, or how to? Because it's a very, I don't even know how to coin the question, because when you're fine as a woman and fingers are pointing at the man that perhaps
in my opinion.
He's not willing to do anything, go for tests, and probably for the fear that, okay, they might say I have low sperm count or whatever. How can a woman handle that?
I think he's getting educated. It's honestly, it's to get him educated.
Some guys are adamant.
I agree. But there are different grades to low sperm count. You understand? So you have oligo, then you have azo, right? And even in the oligo, that means you have a reduced sperm count. There are levels to it. So when we say normal, 15 million is what WHO says normal. At 10 million, you can still impregnate a woman. At 5, you can still impregnate a woman. But it's low.
It's low. The chances are
a bit lower, right? But that will inform the kind of help that you get. Someone that has a sperm count of 2 million and the sperm is moving, so it's motile and it's moving like it has progression or it just has direction, right? And it's fast and the morphology, so the shape of the sperm is good. You can do IVF with that kind of sample, right? And you're likely to have good fertilization rates because the shape, that's the normal form of morphology, is good, right? And we have good progression. It's just that the quantity is small in terms of the number of sperm. In that situation, especially in IVF, what we do, and even in IUI, is that we concentrate the motile sperm, right? And either, put the egg and the sperm together, that's IVF, or we, put or place that motile sperm, the alloport of the motile sperm, into the uterus and cause the woman to ovulate, and that's the IUI. Right? So if a man is educated about his options, it removes the fear of you have low sperm count. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of the time, the stigma that comes with that low sperm count is you cannot impregnate a woman, you are not a man.
Yeah, that's the fear.
That's the fear.
The worst you can tell a man is that you cannot impregnate your wife. That's the worst thing can ever.
But it does.
No man wants to hear that.
But it does
that's
happen.
The fear too.
It does. So, and that's the men that we call azoospermic, meaning that they don't have sperm. Now, even in the azoospermia, it can be different things. It can be something that's genetic, and it came from they're born that way. It can be due to mumps when they were younger. It can be due to an obstruction, right? And so, in the case where there's an obstruction, you just need to sort that out. And you might find that sperm will now be present in the semen sample. Or in some cases, what we do is that we go directly into the testis and take out sperm, right? Aspirate sperm, and sometimes that we can then use that. But if you don't, get tested,
what is going on?
How will we know where we're going to?
So, like you said, I think the education, because. What if you've done everything you know to do and still he's adamant? And that's a story for another day. But what kind of support do you think a woman going through infertility should get to be able to help her navigate that period of her life?
Build a community. A community of trusted people that you can be totally vulnerable with, right? And I know it can be quite difficult. But I also know that there are spaces now. There are different types of spaces, right? Some clinics organize. I think we are organizing something similar on the 4th of June. So I'll send you an invite for where we will have, or where clinics do that. Also, some advocates do that. Some reproductive health advocates do that, where they have communities where women can come and sit down and talk. Because sometimes that anonymity, when you don't really know the person or the people, that you're free to really express yourself. That is if you don't have close people that are in your family or your friendship groups that you can be honest and vulnerable with. That's another way to look for. Another thing is counseling, right? So all of this, I'm saying all of this besides the obvious, which is obviously your spouse giving you support. So just mechanisms that you can put in place to help you deal with it. So family support, joining some kind of community that is for TTC moms, right? But sometimes they post things, they have hangouts that helps them to, communicate and all that.
They're
I'm
not
not doing
alone.
it alone, right? And then obviously therapy. Therapy is good.
Very, very good, very essential.
Yes.
Also, because that indirectly you're having emotional whatever,
Mental health.
it can affect your mental health. So you need somewhere to offload.
Yeah.
What are the myths about infertility that needs to be corrected? There are plenty.
There are many. So one of them I know is very rampant, and I think we're slowly but surely building awareness around it. That's not just the woman that's the cause of infertility.
Yeah.
Infertility, about 40% of the time is from the man, and then the remaining percentage is women, and a small percentage is unexplained. So that's one myth. Another myth is if you do IVF, you're always going to get multiples. That's not always the case. It's not always the case. It's dependent on so many factors, how many embryos they put back in, and all that. That if you have PCOS, which has changed now, they're calling it endocrine metabolic syndrome now. It's no longer PCOS, right? But if you have PCOS, you're definitely going to have fertility challenges. That's not always the case, right? And that's the reason why they've changed what is being called, from PCOS to PMOS, right? Because it's something that affects. It's a metabolic syndrome. It's a systemic thing that sometimes has effects in the ovary, right? So that's one of the things as well. And that you can't get pregnant if you have fibroids. That's not true. Depending.
I actually had fibroids and I got pregnant. Twin was. It's because of time. I need to round up.
Oh, sorry.
Of course. No, I'm just saying to my audience that, we're trying to wrap up because, of time. So to wrap this up, what message do you have for that couple facing these challenges, and praying for children? Just look in that mirror, into that camera, and just, speak to those couples, encourage those couples going through these challenges.
Okay, so first things first, I've been where you are. And I know how challenging it can be, not just as individuals, but as a couple, and the strain that it might be causing. My main advice and encouragement to you is that it's a season. Whatever that season is, it is still a season, right? And you will get through it at the end, either with a child or to a place where both of you are at peace, right, with the situation that you are in. My main advice is this: get checked. That's my advice. Seek help from a trusted healthcare professional. Find out what is going on, and then see if there are ways to help the situation, right? Attempt that help with faith, and with a positive attitude, keeping your relationship at the forefront of whatever it is that you're doing, and making sure you don't lose sight of it. And my hope, my prayer, and my wish for you is that at the end of the day, you come out with your baby or babies.
Baby. It's been an amazing time.
Thank you so much for having me.
So much for coming to just issue. Although I feel we didn't touch certain area because of time. If you don't mind, we'll invite you back on
anytime. Anytime.
Thank you so much. Look, we'll have a little game.
Yes.
So the instruction is, I will mention a situation, right? And you will tell me what it looked like before kids and what it looked like after kids. Okay? Sleeping.
Oh, I don't sleep.
Before or after?
After.
After, you just lost sleep, like.
Yeah, no.
Did you reduce is it the hours of sleep?
Yeah, hours.
What was it before? What was it?
Like 10 before.
10?
Yeah.
10 before.
Yes, I can go to bed at 9 and I'll wake up like 7, 8, good sleep. Now, if it's good, I go to bed at midnight. A good night's sleep for me now is midnight, 6:30.
And that's because your baby cries?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, and in between, and that is not a full sleep. I'm not sleeping from 12 to 6:30. I'm going to wake up to change a diaper, to breastfeed. But you can once you get into it, you can kind of be half asleep and be doing it. So, yeah.
Going out.
Oh, I used to go out quite a lot before I had
Oh,
kids.
that's it.
Every weekend, my husband and I would go out or by myself. I'll go out with my friends. Have a last time I went out.
Oh my God. So that just to show that, just enjoy this season.
Yeah,
Enjoy this
absolutely.
period because so many things will give. Spending money.
Oh, before.
But now you have to check and subtract milk money. If I buy this number of pampers,
Yeah.
save anything.
Yeah, no, it's I think it's interesting because even if there's like I travel or something and I have a certain budget, I say, okay, when I travel, I'm going to spend this amount of money on myself. By the time I see one nice dress in next, I said, no, let me buy that one.
Oh my God.
I see one shoe, I'll carry that one. When I realize, according to there's something that my mother said, because I bought like a whole load of stuff, like a whole suitcase of stuff for my children. And then she was taking things out. Oh, this is nice, this is nice, this is nice. And I was standing there and I was talking to her. Oh, look, this is beautiful, this is beautiful. So I think she now came and said, come, when was the last time you bought yourself a new bra? Because this thing I'm saying here
all your kids
is not okay. So I had to caution myself. It was not like a wake up call. It's okay, no. I must intentionally set aside something for self-care. Because at a point in time, I was so, especially with all the waiting and all the But yeah, no, that's
self-care. Self-care, very,
very important.
It's a giving and giving and giving.
You need to call back into yourself.
The last, the church said it. This talk entirely.
Hey, I feel really bad about this one. I feel like this is a conviction to my spirit. Yeah. Before I used to attend 7:30.
Okay.
By 7:30, that's the service I go for. By 9 o'clock, I'm home. Productive day, gym, everything that day. Now, I started doing for 6 p.m. And that is not always. So yeah, no.
Oh my God! Imagine having two at the same time.
We still free.
So that's the end of my game. Oh my God! So much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
We have a little gift for you. From Motherhood and Me team, and then let me ensure that it's the right one I'm giving you. Need to say thank you.
Oh, thank you. That's really sweet. Now I feel bad. I brought something as well. Thank you so much. No, see, when you come to someone's house, you have to bring. That's not British. Because you're British.
British people, you don't get to ask you that.
Empty-handed, yes. A bottle of wine, some flowers, something. Thank you so much. Yes, something. Thank you so much. Thank you.
But we're in Nigeria, so it's fine.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So, do you have any project for Orchid? Tell the audience about Orchid.
Okay.
What you do? Do you have events? What?
Okay. So we have
your market.
This is the part I'm very bad at. So I'm very clinical. So excuse me. But we have a couple of events coming up. We have a webinar on the 21st of May. I'm not sure when the podcast will be out, but I'll just say. So we have one 21st of May, on the 18th of June, and the 25th of June. We have a community meeting, like a little event for our TTC moms on the 4th of June. And starting from the 21st of this month, May, till the end of July, to 30th of July, we're going to be having or launching a program, an access plan program for women under the age of 35, and we'll have like prices that are severely, reduced, right? For specifically for IVF. So I believe it's going to be 2.3 million, inclusive of everything. So testing, medication, although there's a cap on the medication, there's some T&Cs though, but it's made to be as inclusive as possible for women under the age of 35.
Wow.
So yeah.
So lovely.
So we have quite a lot of things coming up. So
where are you located and how can they get in touch?
Okay, so if you go on our Instagram page, Orchid Fertility Clinic, it's on Instagram, it's on TikTok as well. We are located on 29 Mambila Street off Axo Drive. I believe in Asoko, but me and like say 3 arm zone. It's very easy to find. It's relatively central, so you can get to it from CBD from anywhere quite easily. And yeah, that's where we're located.
And we'll put your details on it so that they can get in touch.
Okay, awesome.
Once again, thank you
so much for having me.
So guys, you've heard her. If you need her services, please get in touch and we'll meet both of you together. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a beautiful day. We'll come your way again. This is Motherhood and Me Podcast. Bye-bye.
Thank you again.
Thank you.